supposed to talk
Here we are!
forever.
So we can probably look into the camera.
Oh,
for
okay.
What we want to do.
We're gonna pretend you're sitting there.
Yes, that's
Hi,
so
what's
true.
up? All right.
Hello and welcome to Life in USA with Manali Sharma. You're watching my weekly vlog. लास्ट व्लॉग में मैं आपको ले गई थी बिशप्स, जो कि एक सैलून चेन है. वहां पे मैंने अपना हेयर कलर कराया था, अपना ट्रिम कराया था और K18 ट्रीटमेंट दिया था. तो लोगों का बहुत सारे DMs आए टू नो हाउ कैन यू मेंटेन योर हेयर हेल्थ इन USA, बिकॉज USA इज अ वेरी ड्राई प्लेस टू बी. और जब से मैं USA शिफ्ट हुई हूँ, आई हैव बिकम एक्सट्रीमली ड्राई. तो हेयर हेल्थ, स्किन हेल्थ का बहुत ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. तो आज मैं आपको ले चल रही हूँ रे के पास, जिसने मेरे हेयर कलर करा था और ट्रिम करा था और K18 करा था. ही इज अ हेयर स्टाइलिस्ट एंड ही वर्क्स एट बिशप्स. तो आज मैं आपको ले चल रही हूँ रे के पास और वी गोना आंसर फ्यू ऑफ योर क्वेश्चंस टुडे. सो हाय रे.
Hey,
हाउ आर यू?
I'm good. It's a sunny day in Seattle, which is like rare.
Since how long you been working here?
I started working with Bishops in 2019, but I started doing hair in 2009.
That's
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah,
Tell me something about your
it's like
journey.
half your life. Or like you were 10 when I started doing hair.
Yeah, that's so true.
My journey? I decided I wanted to do something artistic, but I like to talk a lot.
Okay.
And so I needed to do something where I could be around other people and just yammer on.
Okay. So first question is, does hair trimming really help?
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I always say. Hair is like auto glass. So if you get a ding in your windshield from a stone or something and you fix it right away, then you're fine. But if you don't fix it, then you start to get cracks on the windshield. So your hair is the same way. If you trim a 1/4 inch or about 1/2 centimeter every couple of months, then that prevents the split ends from cracking all the way up your hair. But if you wait 6 months or even like 4 months, then that stuff starts to crack up and you lose hair. You're like, you have to chop more off. So it's better to, your hair grows 1/2 inch a month. It's better to grow it out for 2 months to get a full inch, and then cut a 1/4 inch off, and then you get net growth of 3/4 of an inch in 2 months.
So you're saying, how often should we trim them?
We're looking at about every 6 to 8 weeks, and that's how you're going to keep your hair the healthiest. Now, it doesn't magically make the hair grow out of your head faster. It just keeps the hair healthy, so it doesn't split more, and you don't have to cut off a lot every time.
So now you know how often can you cut your hair.
Yeah.
And the second question was, how can we add more shine to our hair? Like, look at mine. It has no shine. How can I add?
So the best thing to do is to do, there's a couple things, the K18 treatment, which we did do,
Right.
but then there's the at-home K18 treatment. So K18 is a treatment that you put in the hair like a deep conditioner, but it stays in the hair. It's a leave-in treatment. So we put it in your hair and then you go home with it in your hair. And so there's also a little take-home bottle, and you put it in your hair every time you wash it. So that's really important for keeping hair shine. And then a lot of products, I know a lot of people don't like to use products in their hair, especially if it gets greasy or weighs it down.
True.
But we have products called dark oil, which is basically jojoba oil, which you would put in your hair from about mid-lengths to ends when it's wet.
Okay.
And then also leave-in conditioning products. If you're the type of person that likes to let your hair air dry, and a lot of the women I meet, at least from India, prefer to do that. Your hair is a lot like your skin.
True.
So if you go out in the cold and you lick your lips, what happens? Your skin chaps. So if you go out in the cold, and which it's cold block here, and your hair's wet, then it's going to start chapping, which is where you get the frizziness.
Oh gosh.
So a leave-in conditioner is basically when your hair's wet out of the shower, you spray it in and run your fingers through it a little bit, and that's all you need to do. It protects your hair.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's really nice. No, not true.
And there's all kinds. There's light, and then there's heavier depending on what type of hair type.
Right.
Okay, so as far as the frizziness, this is a product called Dark Oil. I'm just gonna put a little pump, one pump on my hands, rub it between my fingers, emulsify it, and then we're gonna run it through her hair. So at this point, this is a really light oil. It's made with jojoba, and it's just sort of like barely making my hands glisten, but it's enough to run through her hair and just give it a little bit more shine, and it's very nourishing. So there's a little bit of a difference, but if you're doing that every day, it's gonna help to build that up.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the things is that the actual best thing for your hair is the oil that comes off your scalp.
Oh, the natural oil.
The natural oil. So that's called sebum. And what this does is it mimics that. Because that's why they used to say for healthy hair, brush your hair 100 times.
Oh.
But that means you have to actually find time to sit there and brush each section
Right.
of your hair 100 times. Nobody has time for that. So jojoba oil helps with that, and you can still brush it.
Great, so now you know.
Yeah.
And now since we are talking about frizziness and shiny, I want to know how often should we really wash our hair?
Well, I usually recommend once or twice a week.
Okay.
And there's other important caveats that go with that as far as what type of shampoo you're using, what type of conditioner you're using, what parts of your hair you're washing, and what parts of your hair you're conditioning. So you want to make sure to wash your scalp really well if you have oily scalp or flaky scalp, but you don't need to take your hair and scrub it
Okay.
with the shampoo.
Right.
You just want to let the water rinse through it, and then you want to take a nice conditioning product like a color safe or a conditioning hydrating mask or conditioner, and you just want to take it about part way through your hair. So from about what we call mid shaft to ends.
Okay.
So even for Manali, we would just kind of take it right about where her ear starts and pull it through, and then rinse it out.
Great.
Yeah.
We talked about, deep conditioning and spa.
Okay.
Like in India, you have different kind of things. Would you let us know what is a spa here?
So what Manali described to me is what we would call a deep conditioning, and that's where we put a very strong conditioning agent on your hair. It's a conditioner, very similar to like a skin cream, right? So it's as toxic as a skin cream, which is not toxic at all. And then we have you sit under a hood dryer for 10 or 15 minutes. That allows the pores to open up on your hair and for the agent to penetrate, and then we take it out and we rinse it out.
Oh, so is it good for
Yes,
hair?
very good. Yes.
And should you do it like once a month?
I mean, ideally, you would probably want to do it every time you get your hair cut.
Oh.
So if you were to do a professional treatment, you would do it every 2 months along with the haircut.
Sure. Great. And how expensive is it to do deep conditioning every time you?
It's around, I believe our deep conditioner as an add-on service is somewhere between $25 and $35. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think as an add-on it's $23.
So you know it's not very expensive too.
No, it's not. I mean, it's worth it. You know, you wear your hair every day. Your hair is the only accessory that you never take off.
That's true.
So
And
if you
have
spend,
hair.
yeah, if you spend $23, you might spend $23 on a nice scarf or an inexpensive cute purse or something, but you aren't.
True.
You might only wear those every once in a while. But $23 every few months to keep your hair nice is good enough.
Yes, that's true. Okay, Ray. So next question we have about coloring.
Okay.
Is it safe to color your hair?
Yes. Yeah, or else we wouldn't do it.
See.
And what do you mean by safe? Like safe for your skin and your health, or safe so that it doesn't damage your hair?
Because people say when you color your hair, it can turn your hair gray, permanently.
It's actually impossible to use any chemicals that we know of to make hair gray.
Oh.
So if you were to walk in the door and say, I want my hair to be silver as my grandmother's, I would say that's impossible. and I would say that we could get it close,
Right.
but it would probably be at least $1,000, if not more.
Okay.
I'm not even joking. It would take all day, if not longer, and cost $1,000.
Gosh,
So it's impossible to make hair gray with any
with the
of the
colors,
products
so
that we
it's
have
not
available.
going to cause your hair, gray. So you can actually go and get some color in your hair.
Yeah.
And how often is it safe to color your hair?
Well, it depends on what kind of coloring you're doing. So like if you were to look at Manali's hair, we made it really light blonde, and then you can see over the last week or two that the roots have grown out, right? So when I go back in to touch that up, I'm only gonna be coloring the dark hair.
Right.
So that means that we're not exposing the rest of her hair to the hydrogen peroxide and ammonia in the lightening product.
So with this, I remember my sister has all her roots gray, completely gray roots,
Okay.
and she doesn't want to color after every 25 days.
Okay.
But do you think is that the only way that she can cover her grays color?
Well, the other way is hair mascara.
Oh,
So the way hair mascara works is that, let's say you've got some gray
okay.
and you part your hair here. It's just like mascara,
Oh.
but you go in and you paint it on where your part is and maybe a little bit around your edges, and then you go about your day. And then the next time you take a shower, it all washes out.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's not something that we sell, but it is a product that's available, and it does work, and it won't hurt your hair.
And I'm sure you get it online as well on Amazon. Do you think
Yeah,
so?
I don't know of any specific brands. We used to sell it at one of my older salons. It's kind of a pain. They also have it as a spray.
Oh yes, I think I have seen such things.
Yeah, both of them are fine.
Oh.
So yeah, because you really do, your hair grows half an inch a month, and if we're covering gray in 3 to 4 weeks, you're gonna have, as much gray as my pinky is thick. And that's not cute.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now it's better that you get your roots, colored, I guess.
Yeah. The other option is to do like what we've done with your hair, like you have a little bit of gray.
Okay, yeah.
So when we make it a really bright blonde, the grays, like she's got some grays through here, but it's not as visible because there's so much blonde, it all just sort of blends in. So that's another trick. I call it the Hillary Clinton.
That's so true.
Hillary Clinton does that.
Well, I didn't
And
know
Katie
about
Couric
that,
does
but
that.
I do that.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I hide my
it works
grays.
really, really well. And that's where you can get more into the kind of like growing old gracefully thing, where it's like, you don't want to look like you're trying too hard. You don't want to look like you've got a line of grays every month, right? It just sort of blends in with everything and looks very natural. And people go, oh, she still has some silver, but that's okay, because you know what? She looks really good. She looks fabulous. I mean, duh. So,
What do you think? What is the best way to keep your scalp healthy?
one of the services we offer is called a scalp dermabrasion. And it's particularly good for people who have oily or flaky scalp. So it's a service that you come in and you would do about once every month or two, and we apply the product to your scalp. We do like kind of a grid pattern, and then we massage it in. We leave it for 10 minutes and then we rinse it out. And not only does that help to take care of your scalp, remove dead skin cells, it's essentially like, it's called a dermabrasion. What is that when you remove skin cell? I can't remember. Maybe we need to start over. So it exfoliates your scalp and then you rinse it out. And one of the things that a lot of people who come here from hotter climates, not just from India or the subcontinent, is for some reason when they move here, they start to experience that their hair is thinning. So the scalp dermabrasion also encourages hair follicle growth.
Okay.
And that's because at any given time, the hair follicles you have, and specifically the pores that your hair grows from, only a third of them are actually creating hair at any given time. And so the scalp dermabrasion basically cleanses off the naturally occurring chemicals and hormones that tell your follicles to not grow hair.
Okay.
So instead it cleans that all off, and then your follicles are saying, oh, well, we better grow hair.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's really good. And unfortunately, that is something that I would say probably half, if not more, of the people who come from hotter climates, Persia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, take your choice, they come here and they're like, I don't know why, my hair's thinning.
Thinning and dandruff is another big issue.
Yes, yes. And then another thing is also that like men experience hair loss.
Yes.
And there's a whole other bunch of stuff we could do for guys or gals.
So Ray, now I just wanna know if there is any advice you probably wanna give out there to the community, which they can learn from Indian people regarding hair.
Yes. So specifically for women from India, don't use henna in your hair. Okay? Henna is beautiful. It's, a lot of people regard it as natural. It's not really natural. And it's very traditional. If you put henna in your hair, we cannot color it at all. Henna has metals in it. Hair colors by an oxidization process. So it's essentially similar to rust. So if you have metals in your hair and we put an oxidizer in your hair, it will actually cause the hair to break. So don't use henna. I also don't think you should use henna for fashion reasons, because if you go to countries where people use henna, like I'm really familiar with the Somali community, lots of people use henna in the Somali community. Who has henna in their hair? Is it 25-year-old women who just moved here to start a career in tech who have henna in their hair? Or is it grandmothers and middle-aged women that have henna in their hair? Which do you want to look like? So, and this is just in general, if you want to look traditional and you want that to be part of your identity, that's beautiful and that's wonderful, and I support it 100%. But if you want to look like a young person in a Western country who is looking to find somebody to marry, looking for people to date, you probably want to look like a young person. And so I tend to associate, at least in the Somali community, henna, old men put it in their beard, old women put it in their hair, and you say, oh, how pretty, that's very traditional that they have henna in their hair. But that's not how you want to look as somebody in your 20s or 30s.
True. Okay. ये था रे जिसने आपके सारे क्वेश्चंस आंसर करे। आई होप आपको थोड़ा सा आइडिया मिला होगा कि आप कैसे अपने बालों को हेल्दी रख सकते हैं, और नहीं मिला है तो और ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछिए, आई एम गोना आंसर ऑल ऑफ देम। बाकी अगले हफ्ते मैं दोबारा मिलूंगी इसी समय इसी चैनल पे, प्लीज देखना मत भूलिएगा। और अगर सब्सक्राइब नहीं करा है तो सब्सक्राइब करिए, लाइक करिए, शेयर करिए, कमेंट करिए, कुछ तो करिए, एडवाइस करिए, कुछ तो करिए, ऐसे बैठे मत रहिए। चलिए